Hello everyone and welcome to my Coronation Street official today. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Something massive has just unfolded in Weatherfield, and if you have not been keeping up with Coronation Street lately, you are genuinely going to want to sit down for this one. The story surrounding Theo, Todd Grimshaw and Danielle has finally reached its breaking point. And what a breaking point it truly is after months of tension, quiet suffering and the darkness that felt almost impossible to escape. The walls have finally come crashing down around Theo. And the people he hurt the most are the very ones who tore those walls apart. Todd and Danielle have united, gone to the police and set into motion what might be one of the most emotionally significant and socially important storylines this show has told in years. This is not just another dramatic plot twist dropped in to keep viewers watching. This is a full reckoning, raw, painful, long overdue, and completely necessary. In a gripping and emotionally charged turn of events in Coronation Street, the long simmering tension surrounding Theo's manipulative and abusive behavior finally erupts into a decisive moment of justice. As Todd Grimshaw and Danielle join forces to bring him down, marking a powerful shift in the narrative that has kept the viewers on edge for months. And what makes that so heartbreaking to sit with this, that Todd is not a fragile person. He is someone with real fight in him, someone with history and resilience built into his character. Yet Theo found every crack and wedged himself inside it. That is the terrifying sophistication of coercive control. It never announces itself loudly or dramatically. It creeps in slowly, almost tenderly at first, and by the time you fully realize what is happening, you are already completely surrounded with no obvious way out. For a long time, Todd has been trapped in a suffocating cycle of control, fear, and emotional manipulation, with Theo carefully crafting a reality in which he held all the power, ensuring Todd felt isolated, confused, and unable to reach out for help. Imagine living inside that silence every single day. Imagine waking up each morning and feeling the walls closing in, not from any physical threat, but from the psychological grip of someone who has convinced you that your own perception cannot be trusted. That is the kind of damage that does not show up in photographs. It lives entirely in the mind and the spirit, and it can take years to fully understand what was done to you. What makes this storyline particularly compelling is the way it has mirrored real-life experiences of coercive control, showing how abusers rarely rely on physical violence alone, instead weaving a web of psychological dominance that leaves their victims doubting themselves and feeling utterly alone. This goes so far beyond soap opera drama, and I think that is what has genuinely made audiences lean in so closely. This is a mirror held up to a reality that millions of people live with quietly, and the reflection is uncomfortable for exactly the right reasons. Now Danielle's involvement in Theo's downfall adds another crucial layer to the story, as her own experiences and growing awareness of Theo's true nature push her toward a moral crossroads where silence is no longer an option. And I cannot overstate how complex her position is here. Initially, like many others in Weatherfield, Danielle had been drawn into Theo's carefully constructed persona, a version of himself designed to appear charming, trustworthy, and even vulnerable at times. Imagine sitting with that realization when it finally hits you. The moment you understand that someone you believed in, someone you may have been defended, was performing an elaborate lie in the entire time. That kind of betrayal does not just wasting your feelings. It dismantles your trust in your own judgment. It makes you question every single memory, every warm conversation, every moment of apparent connection you thought was genuine, and Danielle had to carry all of that. However, as inconsistencies in his behavior began to emerge and the truth slowly surfaced, Danielle found herself confronting the uncomfortable reality that she had been deceived. manipulated, and perhaps even used as part of Theo's broader strategy to maintain control all over those around him. This realization is not instantaneous or easy. It unfolds gradually, marked by moments of doubt, guilt, and a growing sense of responsibility to act before more damage is done. The guilt is what really gets me here, because Danielle never intended any harm. She was a victim of the same deception, just from a different angle and a different distance. Yet she still had to sit with the heavy question of whether she could have seen the signs sooner, whether she unknowingly gave Theo credibility that made things harder for Todd. That internal battle is deeply, painfully human, and the show gives it the space it deserves. When Todd and Danielle finally come together, it is not just a plot development but a symbolic moment of solidarity, representing the breaking of isolation that is often the first and most difficult step for victims of abuse. Think about what that moment must have felt like for Todd. After so long feeling invisible, after so many moments of doubting his own experience and wondering if he was somehow imagining the severity of what was happening to him, someone finally sat across from him and said, "I see it, I believe you, I am with you." That single act of being believed is something that cannot be underestimated. It is often the very thing that makes the difference between continuing to suffer in silence and finally finding the courage to move forward. Todd, who has spent so long being silenced and diminished, begins to rediscover his voice. And with Danielle's support, he finds the strength to confront the reality of his situation and take action against Theo. Their decision to go to the police is portrayed with a sense of gravity and realism, acknowledging the fear, uncertainty, and emotional toll that such a step entails. It is not framed as a simple act of bravery, but as a complex and deeply personal choice, shaped by everything Todd has endured and everything he stands to lose or gain by speaking out. The show resists the temptation to make this feel triumphant and clean. Instead, it feels exactly the way it would feel in real life: terrifying, uncertain, and utterly, thoroughly human. The reunion between Todd and Danielle is equally significant on an emotional level, as it reflects themes of forgiveness, understanding, and the possibility of rebuilding trust after deception and betrayal. Danielle's willingness to stand by Todd despite her own feelings of anger and hurt highlights the importance of empathy and the recognition that both of them have been affected by Theo's actions in different ways. Their alliance becomes a turning point not only in the pursuit of justice but also in their personal journeys, as they begin to process what has happened and support each other in moving forward. Meanwhile, Theo's downfall is handled with a sense of inevitability that has been carefully built up over time. The cracks in his facade, once subtle and easily dismissed, become impossible to ignore, and his attempts to maintain control grow increasingly desperate and erratic. Thus, this escalation adds tension to the storyline, as viewers are left wondering how far he will go to protect himself and whether he will attempt to flee, manipulate, or retaliate against those who threaten to expose him. The involvement of the police introduces a new dynamic, shifting the narrative from one of hidden abuse to one of public accountability, where Theo can no longer hide behind lies and carefully constructed narratives. As the story unfolds, it also shines a light on the broader impact of abuse, showing how it affects not just the victim but everyone around them, from friends and family to those who may have unknowingly enabled the abuser's behavior. Todd's journey in particular is portrayed with sensitivity and depth, capturing the complexity of recovery and the long-lasting effects of trauma. His decision to come forward is not depicted as the end of his struggle, but as the beginning of a new chapter, one that will require healing, support, and time. The writing emphasizes that there is no quick resolution, no instant return to normality but rather a gradual process of reclaiming identity, confidence, and a sense of safety. Danielle's role in this process further underscores the importance of allies in confronting abuse, demonstrating how belief, support, and action from others can make a critical difference. The storyline also raises important questions about accountability and justice, exploring what it means for someone like Theo to face the consequences of his actions and whether true justice can ever fully repair the harm that has been done. As viewers watch Theo's carefully constructed world unravel, there is a sense of both satisfaction and unease, reflecting the reality that while exposure and punishment are necessary, they do not erase the pain experienced by those he has hurt. The emotional weight of these events is felt throughout the community. As characters begin to grapple with the truth and reassess their perceptions of Theo, as well as their own roles in falling to see what was happening, ultimately this storyline stands out as one of the most powerful and socially relevant arcs in recent memory, using its platform to highlight the hidden nature of abuse and the courage it takes to confront it. Todd and Danielle's decision to turn Theo is not just a dramatic twist but a meaningful statement about resilience, truth, and the importance of standing up against manipulation and control. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest situation, there is the possibility of change, of breaking free, and of finding strength in connection with others as the dust begins to settle and the consequences of Theo's actions unfold. The focus shifts toward healing and the hope of a future no longer defined by fear, leaving viewers with a sense of closure tempered by the understanding that recovery is an ongoing journey. And yet, even as justice begins to take shape, there is a quiet question hanging in the air. Is this really the end or just the beginning of something even more complicated? Because what Coronation Street does so well here isn't just explosive Theo, it's exposing how easily people can be pulled into a lie without even realizing it. And that's what makes this storyline feel uncomfortably real. Personally, I think this is where the story becomes even more powerful. Not in Theo's downfall, but in what comes after for Todd. Because surviving something like that doesn't mean you instantly feel free. It means learning how to live again step by step, and let's be honest, trust doesn't just come back overnight, does it? Will Todd truly find peace after everything he's been through, or will Theo's shadow linger longer than anyone expects? And what about Danielle? Will standing up for the truth finally heal her guilt, or will she struggle with the role she unnervingly played in all of this? There is also that lingering tension because when someone like Theo starts to lose control, they don't always go quietly, and that makes you wonder